a confession to make. I thought I was pretty good at boundaries, and I am starting to realize that actually I really might not be. A couple of things have happened recently that have had me reflect on my relationship with boundaries over a broader period of time. And what I'm starting to track is that while I am getting better at making a request or communicating what my needs are, communicating what I might be available for, what I'm not. A beautiful way one of my authentic relating colleagues talks about boundaries is um, this is a way you can love me right now. So I can love myself and love you at the same time. So I'm getting better at that. Far from perfect. Yeah, I notice all of the places where I still find that really hard, either because I don't know what the thing is to even communicate, um, or because I'm scared of the impact that communicating that boundary or request will have. But the place that I'm noticing that like, oh, I'm really not good at this bit is then having consequences to that request. So, for example, I was dealing with a work situation, and I asked for things to be completed by Friday, and that I didn't want to be in contact about it over the weekend. And this person messaged me over the weekend, and yeah, this is where it's on me. Is like I just couldn't ignore the message. I couldn't sit there for the weekend knowing that this thing was there waiting for me. Um, so I engaged with the message and then found myself replying and then being like really annoyed when like more came back. And then catching, I'm like, oh, it's really easy for me to blame this other person for not respecting my boundary, but actually I'm not respecting my boundary. I'm not actually holding it. I'm not actually like acting on it, and there being consequences, but like some boundaries there are, right? I'd really like it if you stop swearing at me. And if that doesn't happen, then how do I withdraw, kindly withdraw from that conversation, for example. Um, but yeah, I was like, wow. And I noticed like how much I do this in so many of my relationships, because of course life is a hologram, and the way I show up in one relationship tends to be the way I show up in all my relationships. Um, yeah, and it seems to me that I have this value for being flexible, for being available, for being like, yeah, I can do that, for yeah, and like as soon as I sense like the other person is going to be upset or impacted, it's like, yeah, something in me like really wants to give, really wants to make sure the other person is okay. And yeah, I'm noticing recently this way that I've been overextending myself and then feeling really drained and just kind of done. And I'm like, why? So I don't have any answers right now. This is definitely going to be an area where I need to learn more. I need to practice more. I think I need to understand a little bit more of like where this is coming from in me. Like, what are the habitual patterns? What are some of the stories that I tell myself that maybe aren't as helpful as they once were? Um, yeah, but I'm feeling a little sheepish because I thought this was something that I was pretty good at. And I'm realizing like what I thought was being like me being like well-boundaried is actually just me being kind of a little isolated. I sort of like my lone wolf tendency. Um, yeah, I tend to kind of I'm noticing being a bit like at one extreme or the other. Either I'm kind of in this like really giving mode and will just like white knuckle my way through whatever else happening for somebody else, and like I have to show up, I have to show up. Or I'm just like withdrawing completely and yeah, not being in connection at all, which like, it makes sense to me why I do that. But not really helpful for staying in connection in this way that's deeply honoring myself and is really mindful of of me and my needs, and like recognizing that that's important. That gets to be here too. And also, doing that for somebody else. So really being in the honor self and honor other practice of authentic relating. Yeah, I noticed this story that because I teach authentic relating, that I should have had all this sorted already, and that's like my perfectionism kind of coming in that doesn't give me space to learn and be human, and for these practices to have lots of layers and nuance um, yeah. So yeah, if you've got any good resources, teachers, yeah, people that I could be learning from on this, I'd really love to hear it. And yeah, great opportunity to give some of your favorite people a little shout out. Yeah, and I'm curious if this resonates for you too. Maybe this is something a few of us can be learning together. Yeah, thanks so much for being here. Love to hear your comments and thoughts in the comments below, funnily enough. And I'll see you next time.